He only ever wanted to be happy. He longed to laugh with friends and to fall in love. All he truly wanted was to experience a completely ordinary school life. His week consisted of being beaten, having toilet water dumped on him, and his private photos being spread online. By Thursday, standing in the rain outside the school, he had resolved to commit suicide. And now the day had come. He stood at the edge of the school rooftop in the pouring rain. He was certain that if he jumped from this height, he would die. He worried that he might survive if he fell on the bushes. He steeled his resolve, deciding it would be fine. As he climbed over the fence, he just had to aim for the ground. Suddenly, he noticed a girl standing nearby, realizing he wasn't alone. He was shocked that there were still other students around. He frantically wondered what he should do. To his surprise, the girl suddenly turned and ran away. He panicked, thinking she was going to call for help, and shouted for her to wait. The girl reappeared, triumphantly holding something. She excitedly told him to look. She showed him a dead crow she had found lying on the ground. She then bluntly asked him if he wanted to die. With a wide, unsettling smile, she made him an offer. If he really wanted to die, why not give his life to her instead? The boy was left speechless by her bizarre proposition. She insisted that dying is a waste. She claimed there was so much fun to be had while still alive. He angrily retorted that she didn't know anything about him and shouldn't presume to know what was best for him. He angrily asked if she came here just to make fun of him. She cheerfully replied that of course that wasn't it, and that all she wanted was something else. She leaned against the fence and declared her intention was to put his life to good use. She asked if she could use his life, and he questioned her meaning. To illustrate her point, she held up the dead crow and asked for his opinion on it. He was confused by her question. She asked him if he thought the dead bird was cute. The boy was disgusted by the idea. He told her it wasn't cute at all, and she continued her thought. She explained that because it's dead, it's just a smelly, rotting piece of trash. Her use of the word trash triggered him. He recalled the cruel words his bullies threw at him. He reasoned that at least the crow was in a better place than him. The crow only became trash after it died. He, on the other hand, felt like he was trash even while he was still alive. The girl asked if that was the reason he wanted to die. He confirmed that she was right. His frustration boiled over, and he demanded to know why she was lecturing him and what her deal was. She calmly stated that she wasn't trying to stop him. She confessed she didn't know anything about him, but she could sense he lived a miserable life. She urged him to tell her everything. She framed a question with her hands, asking if he was content with being trash for the rest of his life. He furiously retorted that there was no way he was fine with that. Clenching his fist, he began to confess his true feelings. He yelled that he also wanted to make friends, lead a normal life, and laugh about silly things with others. He continued, saying that even if a girlfriend was out of the question, he still wanted to make the most of his youth. The girl listened to his confession, her expression unreadable as she murmured that she understood. The girl smiled and declared that in that case she would grant him that life. The boy was taken aback by her sudden declaration. She effortlessly vaulted over the chain-link fence. He was stunned by her sudden action. She stated her condition for giving him a fulfilling high school experience. He would have to give her complete control over his life. She ordered him to become her puppet, assuring him that he would be happy. She reminded him that he wanted a girlfriend. She then opened her shirt suggestively, offering to let him touch her if he agreed to her terms. The boy was overwhelmed with embarrassment. She playfully asked if it wasn't a bad deal. She pressed him, asking if he didn't want to. He timidly insisted that he didn't. As she leaned closer, he reflexively grabbed her tie and yanked it. His pull sent them both toppling over the edge of the roof. As they fell, she smiled and decided they should proceed. While plummeting towards the ground, she laid out the terms of their new contract. If they both survived the fall, he had to become her puppet. He couldn't believe this was real. He cursed, realizing the gravity of the situation. As they fell together, he was certain that this was how he would die. A memory surfaced of his bullies laughing at him after he threw up. One of them called him disgusting and told him to clean up his own mess. He was ordered to clean it with his mouth. He couldn't understand why this was happening to him. His bullies had taunted him, calling him trash and telling him to smile for a picture. As he lay there helpless, he made a silent wish. His final thought from the memory, a wish for his tormentors to rot in hell, echoed in his mind as he and the girl crashed into the bushes below. He cried out in pain from the impact. They both lay in the bushes, having survived the fall. He was fairly certain his arm was broken. The girl, however, just chuckled. She cheerfully noted that the fall didn't hurt nearly enough to kill them. She grabbed his injured arm, making him cry out in pain. Holding him in a dramatic pose, she announced that from this moment on he was her puppet. She pulled him along, cheerfully saying they should get along. She reiterated that he was her puppet now. She explained that she would be the one pulling his strings. And in return he would dance for her. She told him to think of their arrangement as being like an RC car. He demanded to know why she was doing this. She replied that the reason was simple. With a serene smile, she confessed that she was tired of her own life. So she was going to control someone else. And in doing so, she would create the perfect life for them. Kneeling, she took his hands and swore that she would lead him to happiness, formally asking him to be her puppet. He desperately asked if he could really be happy. He told her that if happiness was possible, he didn't care if he was a puppet. He passionately declared that he just wanted to be happy. She confirmed that of course he could. She explained that his first order of business for a happy life was about to be given. Leaning in close, she instructed him to close his eyes. He complied with her command. She leaned in and kissed him. He opened his eyes in stunned confusion. He stammered, asking what she was. He couldn't believe she had just kissed him. She explained that her goal was to make his body secrete the happiness hormone, oxytocin, leaving him in a euphoric state. She smiled, saying that a story with a happy ending is always better and that she demanded all of her puppets be happy. That, she stated, is why he will be happy. And to achieve that happiness, he would have to obey her orders. She then added a threat, saying she has no use for a disobedient puppet and might break him if he ever turned on her. She then announced his next order. She instructed him to tell her one of his wishes. He was confused, questioning what she meant by his wishes. She elaborated, asking what he would wish for if a genie appeared to grant him a happy life. He considered her question. Filled with anger, he declared that he would want revenge on everyone who bullied him. She smiled, calling it a great idea. She praised him, telling him he did well. She gently placed her hand on his head. She then raised her other hand and declared that she would grant his wish. The boy declared that he wanted revenge on everyone who had bullied him. A girl with a sharp-toothed smile approved of his wish. She gently patted him on the head. Leaning in close, she held his chin and promised that she would grant that wish of his. Sometime later, the boy rests in a small, messy apartment, his arm heavily bandaged from the fall. Waking up, he thinks back to the girl from the rooftop, calling her a weirdo. Her promise to grant his wish echoes in his mind. He feels only despair, believing nothing is going to change. He looks at his bandaged arm, wondering why he couldn't have just died. He reflects that nothing has gone well for him since his first day of school. He finds it unbelievable that he was bullied over something so dumb. Lying in bed, he concludes that his life is worthless. He gazes out at the city, wishing that tomorrow would never come. Arriving at school, he finds his desk has been vandalized. It's covered in hateful graffiti, with insults like die and trash scrawled all over it. The other students whisper that he showed up again. A group of bullies led by a boy named Ravia immediately confronts him, calling him trash. Ravia notices his broken arm. He mockingly asks if he tripped and fell before getting an idea. Ravia suggests writing some well wishes on his cast. As he reaches for the boy's arm, he wonders what to write. The boy instinctively pulls back and yells for him to stop. The resistance momentarily surprises Ravia. He then dismisses the boy's defiance with a sigh. Ravia calls him a party pooper and tells him to go to his seat. He complains to his friends about the boy's attitude. He announces he is going to show them something cool. Without warning, Ravia launches a flying dropkick. The kick sends the boy crashing into a row of desks. Ravia laughs, proud of his clean dropkick. He asks if anyone recorded it, and one of his friends confirms he did. As the boy struggles to get up, his classmates look on. Ravia taunts him, asking if he's ready for more. Ravia grabs the boy, declaring it's time for round 2. He prepares to punch him. Just then, the classroom door slides open. The girl from the rooftop enters, cheerfully wishing everyone a good morning. She enters the classroom, asking what they are up to, while a nervous teacher peeks in behind her. The bullies are confused by her sudden appearance. The boy is stunned, recognizing her as the girl from yesterday. A student comments on how cute she is. Rauya is immediately taken with her, asking which class she's from. The teacher nervously announces that she is a transfer student joining their class. The boy is in disbelief. Rauya excitedly asks the teacher why she didn't inform them about a transfer student. She reminds him she did at yesterday's assembly. He admits he wasn't listening and asks the new girl for her name. She introduces herself as Tamata Kubaru. Kubaru writes her name on the board and formally introduces herself to the class. Rauya is clearly impressed. Rauya compliments Kubaru on her cute name and asks for her contact ID. She readily agrees. They exchange QR codes and he celebrates adding her to his friend list. She says she hopes they'll get along. He tells her to call him Rauya. After speaking with Rauya, Kubaru turns her attention elsewhere. She asks for the injured boy's name and he seems confused that she's asking for his name. Rauya looks on, annoyed by the interaction. Kubaru moves closer to the boy, explaining that she missed the chance to ask for his name the day before. She gives him a warm smile. Kubaru leans in close to the boy, explaining that she missed the chance to ask for his name the day before. She then demands to know his name. Flustered, the boy introduces himself as Kiba Yuyudo. Kubaru greets him, commenting on what a cool name he has. Rauya approaches, questioning Kubaru's interest in Yuyudo and calling her crazy. He tries to put Yuyudo down by mentioning an embarrassing incident from his first day. Unimpressed, Kubaru asks why she should care and walks off, leading Yuyudo by the hand. Kubaru dismisses Rauya's story as boring. Rauya is left shocked by her dismissal. She then cheerfully asks the teacher for her seat. The flustered teacher assigns her the one next to Yuyudo. Delighted, Kubaru declares it must be fate. She tells Yuyudo they should sit down. Rauya stares in disbelief. Yuyudo is confused about why she chose him. Rauya internally fumes, unable to understand why Kubaru would choose a loser like Yuyudo. He can't believe this is happening. Staring at his phone, Rauya curses them under his breath. A message in the class group chat reveals a plan to invite Kubaru and post a particular video. A sinister smile spreads across his face. During lunch break, Yuyudo finds Kubaru sitting on some stairs outside. He approaches her to talk. She asks if he couldn't eat with someone else, and he bluntly replies that he cannot. Kubaru declares their lunch a perfect opportunity for a strategy meeting. Yuyudo seems confused by her statement. She asks if he's already forgotten their conversation from the day before. With a wide grin, she reminds him of their shared goal, to get revenge on his bullies. Kubaru reveals that she was invited to the class group chat. She tells him to look at her phone. Yuyudo is shocked to see an embarrassing video of himself. She speculates that Rauya posted it to get her attention and was upset when it didn't work. Yuyudo panics and tries to stop her. He pleads for her not to watch the video. Kubaru reassures him that it's too late, as she's already seen it. She says she understands the shame of being seen naked. Deeply mortified, Yuyudo covers his face, exclaiming how much this sucks. He yells that she shouldn't have watched it. He explains that while it might be a small embarrassment for her, it's a huge deal for him. He stresses that it's something he doesn't want anyone seeing. Kubaru realizes this means it hasn't been posted publicly. Yuyudo confirms he believes it's confined to the group chat. This gives her a devious idea. With a wicked smile, Kubaru leans in and suggests a shocking course of action. They should publish the video themselves. Yuyudo reacts with pure horror. With a wicked smile, she leans in and proposes a shocking idea that they should publish the embarrassing video themselves. Yuyudo is horrified, yelling that no one in their right mind would do something so humiliating. He asks if she even listened when he said he hated the video. Kubaru simply asks if he doesn't want the video to spread. She reminds him that his goal was to get revenge on his bullies. Yuyudo argues that there must be other ways to get revenge. He's left speechless when Kubaru asks for his plan. Kubaru says she could change tactics, but with a clear underlying threat. Holding the phone up like a weapon, Kubaru tells him he doesn't have much of a choice in the matter. Yuyudo is left stunned and cornered. Kubaru lectures him, stating there's no revenge without risk. She reminds him of his desperation the previous day when he was on the verge of taking his own life. She argues that if he was strong enough for that, then this should be no big deal. She pushes further, questioning if he was ever truly brave enough to kill himself. Enraged, Yudo insists that he was serious. Satisfied with his response, Kubaru declares that this task should be easy for him then. She reveals she has already created an account. She has even written the post for him. Handing him the phone, she tells him all he has to do is press the upload button. Yudo looks at the phone and is shocked by the text. Kubaru explains her plan: they will pretend to be the bullies. She elaborates that having a culprit brazenly post about their crimes is far more likely to incite online mob justice than a victim's plea. She asserts that this approach is guaranteed to stir up public outrage. With this single video framed as a boast from the bully, she is certain they will capture everyone's attention. Kubaru explains that while the account is new, adding popular and viral hashtags will ensure it spreads. His miserable video will easily set the internet on fire. Then she whispers, they just have to let society carry out its justice. Yudo worries about causing trouble for the school. Kubaru coldly shuts him down, telling him the school doesn't care about him. Kubaru tells him he's the only one who can save himself. He questions the point of worrying about adults who won't help. She warns that if he doesn't do this, he'll be miserable for the rest of his life. It's a fate she knows he doesn't want. Leaning close, she reassures him, telling him to just do as she says. She promises that this way he will be happy. She finishes her manipulation with a promise that she will always be there to protect him. With a tear rolling down his cheek, Yudo submits to her plan. With a trembling hand, he presses the post button. The tweet goes live. For a moment, nothing happens, and he breathes a sigh of relief, thinking no one has noticed. He rationalizes that of course it went unnoticed, as it came from an account with no followers. Just as he finishes the thought, his phone erupts with vibrations as notifications pour in, much to Kubaru's delight. Yudo is completely overwhelmed, as his phone is flooded with retweets and comments from an activated internet mob. The notifications continue to pour in, with one user declaring the bully's life is over. Kubaru smirks and casually tosses her own phone aside. Stunned into silence, Yudo can only watch. Leaning against the still-shocked Yudo, Kubaru looks at him with a pleased expression and congratulates him on a job well done. Kubaru picks up her phone, telling Yudo that now they just have to wait. With a cheerful smile, she suggests they head back to class. Yudo is left blushing and speechless in her wake. Meanwhile, behind the school, Rabia's friend rushes to find him smoking. He urgently tells Rabia to check the group chat. Rabia is stunned to see the post about Yudo, questioning if it's real. Rabia brushes off the tweet as no big deal. He casually puts out his cigarette. He believes everyone will forget about it soon enough. Rabia confidently states that no one would have the guts to actually show up. Just as Rabia's friend tries to leave, a menacing figure appears, repeating Rabia's words back to him. The stranger introduces himself as Bakibo from the Bakibaki Violence channel. Rabia is clueless, asking who Bakibo is. The streamer is theatrically appalled that he's not recognized. He laments that 5,000 subscribers don't bring much fame. Rabia is surprised by the number of followers. Bakibo excitedly announces that Rabia will be a guest on his stream today. He tries to force something onto Rabia, who resists. The startled boy shoves him away, accidentally hitting him in the process. Bakibo freezes, a look of calculation on his face. Playing to his camera, Bakibo feigns injury, asking his chat if they saw Rabia hit him. Rabia frantically tries to explain it was an accident. Bakibo twists his words, accusingly asking if he tells his victims the same thing. Rabia insists they were just messing around, but Bakibo seizes on the word. He shouts to his audience that Rabia thinks it's all fun and games. The live chat explodes with rage, demanding he be punished. Bakibo revels in their anger, calling him the worst kind of person. Fueled by his audience's vitriol, Bakibo declares that people like Rabia ruin society. His chat echoes his sentiment, chanting for judgment. He says that worthless trash who bully the weak deserve what's coming to them. With a cry of judgment, Bakibo delivers a brutal punch to Rabia's stomach and face. He collapses to his knees, vomiting. The force of the blows leaves Rabia reeling. After the assault, Bakibo casually checks his phone, complaining that the stream got blurry. He turns to his chat, asking if they managed to catch the action. Addressing his viewers' potential concerns, Bakibo claims he didn't actually hit Rabia. He points to a sash on Rabia, declaring that anyone wearing it consents to be in his content. He praises Raoya's performance, insisting it was all just an act. Bakibo continues the charade, winking at the camera and assuring his chat that no one actually got hurt. His audience buys the explanation, convinced it was all a consensual joke. Raoya can only watch, bruised and beaten. With the stream still running, Bakibo poses one last question to Raoya. He asks why he bullied him. Raoya is left speechless, unable to answer. Raoya struggles to remember why he started. A flashback shows him first noticing Yuyudo, who walked alone with a straight back. Raoya recalls thinking that he looked cool. The flashback continues, showing Raoya approaching Yuyudo for the first time. He cheerfully mentioned that the girls at the entrance ceremony were talking about him. Yuyudo had stepped in dog poop on his new sneakers. The memory shifts to an incident where Raoya pointed this out. He then eagerly called over a group of girls to share the embarrassing story. While the girls told Raoya to stop making fun of him, he laughed it off. He compared the situation to a classic gag. To his surprise, Yuyudo seemed to play along. Yuyudo told Raoya that it wasn't funny. Raoya was utterly confused by the sudden shift. Yuyudo's expression hardened as he confronted him. Back in the present, a beaten Raoya mutters that he just wanted to be friends. Bakibo scoffs at the explanation, accusing him of trying to gain pity. Calling the excuse lame, Bakibo delivers another kick to Raoya. From a distance, Yuyudo watches the scene unfold with a confused look. Later in class, the teacher gravely announces that Uzami Raoya was assaulted by a trespasser. The students murmur in shock. She states that the authorities have been contacted. The teacher adds that the culprit has already been arrested, as Kubaru looks on with a satisfied smirk. The teacher dismisses the class for the day, explaining that Uzami has been hospitalized. As students leave, they gossip that Raoya deserved it for being a bully. Yuyudo listens, looking deeply troubled by the outcome. Kubaru turns to Yuyudo, asking if this outcome is good for him. With a pleased look, she declares that her mission is accomplished. She smugly tells him that now there is no one left to bully him. Yuyudo, however, is filled with doubt, questioning if this was the right choice. He admits he's still terrified, especially since the video is still online. In response, Kubaru lanes in, simply getting his attention. She then proposes that they skip school the next day and go on a date. Lost in her gaze, Yuyudo finds himself captivated, thinking that he truly wants to see the future she will create for him. Kubaru's proposal echoes in Yuyudo's mind long after school ends. The word date follows him home and stays with him as he lies in bed, completely stunned by the sudden turn of events. Having barely slept, Yuyudo makes his way to Shirakura Station. He anxiously fusses over his hair, berating himself for being so simple-minded. He suddenly realizes just how much he's freaking out over the meeting. When he arrives, he's immediately captivated by Kubaru. She spots him and calls out his name with a bright smile. She then curiously asks why he came in his school uniform. Yuyudo explains that he wore his uniform to avoid his parents finding out he was skipping school and planned to change in the restroom. Kubaru finds this logical and cheerfully tells him to go get changed. He is left alone to wonder what to do next. While changing, Yuyudo feels ecstatic. He reminds himself that Kubaru is dangerous. But seeing how cute she looks, he can't help himself. He admits to himself that he's pathetically easy to please. As he walks out, his expression changes to one of shock. He sees two men hitting on Kubaru. Before he can react, she spots him and quickly grabs his arm, playfully chiding him for taking so long. The men walk away, grumbling that she already has a boyfriend. With them gone, Kubaru happily suggests they visit the aquarium. A blushing Yuyudo stammers in agreement. Inside the aquarium's underwater tunnel, Kubaru marvels at how pretty it is, while Yuyudo feels like he's in a dream. They both gaze in awe at the beautiful jellyfish. They marvel at a massive whale shark. As they walk through the exhibits, Kubaru playfully points to a penguin and tells Yuyudo that it looks like him. Afterward, they stop at a cafe where Kubaru enjoys a gorgeous parfait. She asks Yuyudo if he's having fun. He shyly confirms that he is. Kubaru is pleased to hear he's having fun. After a moment of silence, Yuyudo works up the courage to ask why she invited him out. With a slight change in her expression, she replies that it's for the sake of his future. Confused, Yuyudo questions what she means. Kubaru explains that since he wants to fall in love and go on dates, she's decided to help. She reveals that their date today is merely an introductory class to mold him into an ideal Prince Charming. She continues, saying he needs experience to avoid messing up his first real date. She bluntly tells him that today was just a practice run. This leaves Yuyuto completely bewildered. Sensing his confusion, Kyubaru asks if he wants to continue with her or not, putting him on the spot. As Yuyuto struggles for an answer, Kyubaru delivers a final, crushing blow, stating matter-of-factly that she doesn't even like him. The revelation leaves him utterly shocked. Continuing from her shocking confession, Kyubaru clarifies with a smile that she doesn't even like Yuyuto. Her words leave him completely stunned. Kyubaru explains that they barely know each other. Yuyuto adds that he also has no interest in romance personally. Her only desire, she says, is to play with her puppets. With a confident smile, she declares her mission is to pull his strings and guide him to a happy life. She bluntly informs him that he is merely a puppet to her, nothing more and nothing less. Yuyuto is left utterly speechless by her declaration. Despite her cold words, the day was filled with moments of apparent joy, like sharing desserts. They also went shopping for accessories. They even took a commemorative photo together at the aquarium. Afterwards, Kyubaru hands him the picture they took. As evening falls, their date comes to an end. Kyubaru thanks him for the day and asks if he'll make his curfew. Yuyuto assures her it's fine since it's only 7. She waves a cheerful goodbye, promising to see him tomorrow. Kyubaru excitedly mentions making a photo album. Yuyuto thanks her for the day. The pleasant moment is shattered when his phone begins to ring insistently. A look of dread crosses Yuyuto's face. He sees the caller is his dad. Yuyuto answers, only to be met with his father's furious yelling, berating him for skipping school. His dad reveals that his teacher had called. His father questions how he could humiliate him like that. He screams at Yuyuto, telling him not to come home and to die on the side of the road before hanging up. Stunned, Yuyuto wonders what kind of father would tell their own son to die. He internally fumes about how he hates talking to his dad, who never watches his mouth. He curses in frustration. Noticing his distress, Kyubaru quietly asks if he's okay. Kyubaru apologizes, feeling responsible for him cutting class. Yuyuto reassures her that it was his decision and he'll be fine. Seeing through his facade, she gently asks if he doesn't get along with his family. Yuyuto admits that they don't always get along. He explains that they don't really see eye to eye. Kyubaru quickly apologizes for prying, but Yuyuto trails off, muttering that one should appreciate the family they have. Kyubaru disagrees, telling him he doesn't have to appreciate them. She points out his pained expression. She adds that telling someone to die is always a cruel thing to do. She moves closer, gently touching his face, and tells him that if he doesn't like his family, he can just run away. She invites him to come with her. Yuyuto pulls back, flustered, telling her to stop saying such things, especially since she admitted she doesn't like him. He insists that he can't rely on her. Kyubaru stares at him intently. Kyubaru explains that what she's offering is unconditional love. Yuyuto is confused by her words. She clarifies that it's possible precisely because she has no romantic feelings for him. He adds that he isn't expecting a romantic relationship either and has no ulterior motives. Her true motive is simple, she just wants to save him and asks if that's not a good enough reason. Yuyuto has a sudden realization. He becomes certain that this was the day. He recalls seeing her battered and bruised. The day he fell in love with her. In that moment he embraces her, his feelings finally clear. Yuyuto recalls this as the day he fell in love with her. As they stand together, Kyubaru suggests they go home. But then a new idea suddenly occurs to her. She enthusiastically suggests they buy snacks at a convenience store for a party. When she asks if he likes watching movies, Yuyuto gets flustered and simply says he does, which she seems to take as a confession of his feelings for her. Inside the convenience store, they pick out some movies. Yuyuto tries to thank her for everything. Kyubaru brushes it off, saying she did not do anything. She then adds that it feels cold when he uses her family name and would rather he call her by her first name. Flustered by her request, Yuyuto is taken aback. He struggles to even say her first name. Despite his awkwardness, she expresses her disappointment. After purchasing a large amount of snacks, they leave the store. Kyubaru leads him towards her home. She announces their arrival at a massive building. Yuyuto is stunned to see she lives in a gigantic high-rise apartment building. He realizes she lives in a high-rise apartment building. She invites him inside. Stepping in, he is immediately struck by how spacious her apartment is. Kyubaru informs him it is a 3-bedroom layout. Curious, Yudo asks about her parents. Kyubaru cheerfully replies that they are not here because she lives alone. She then invites him to have a seat on the couch. Once they are settled, Kyubaru asks what movie he wants to watch. Yudo points out a popular one he has been curious about. She agrees to play it. As they sit together watching the movie, Yudo feels a profound sense of peace. He finds himself wishing this perfect moment could last forever. The peaceful atmosphere is shattered by the ringing of Yudo's phone. He apologizes, explaining that it is his dad. Kyubaru calmly tells him it is fine and that he should answer the call. Yudo steps into the hallway to take the call, wondering what his father wants. He hopes his dad is just worried. He answers, only to be immediately yelled at and questioned about his whereabouts. He lies, saying he is at a friend's house for a sleepover. His father explodes with rage, refusing to believe him and ordering him to come home at once. He accuses him of being with a girl and declares he is coming to pick him up immediately. After the call, Yudo collapses against the door, completely dejected. He laments that he does not want to go home and worries his father might somehow know where he is. Just then, Kyubaru appears. She apologizes for having overheard his conversation. Yudo apologizes for his father's loudness and says he thinks he should go home. Kyubaru tells him he does not have to, reminding him that his dad said he would come to pick him up. She suggests they just wait and see if he shows up. His phone rings again with his father on the line, who announces that he has already arrived. The man reveals that he knows exactly where they are because he got his location from GPS. Yudo is horrified to learn there is a tracking app on his phone. Kyubaru, holding an envelope, asks if they should go down. She tells a confused Yudo that he does not have to go home because she will convince his father for him. She instructs him to wait at the front entrance. She gives Yudo a firm order not to disobey her. Downstairs, she confronts his father. He immediately accuses her of seducing his son. He insults her appearance, but she remains unfazed. Watching from the doorway, Yudo feels the situation is not looking good. He thinks he should go out too. His father spots him and screams at him to come home now. Regarding her purpose, Kyubaru calmly presents the envelope. Yudo's father is stunned. She explains that it contains 1 million yen, which she withdrew for an emergency just like this. With the money as leverage, she makes her final statement: he is to leave Yudo with her. Kyubaru offers to have Yudo left in her care. Yudo is stunned by her proposition. His father is equally confused. The initial shock quickly turns to anger for Yudo's father, who demands to know if she is making fun of him. Kyubaru coolly asks if 1 million yen was not enough. Enraged, Yudo's father declares he is not giving his son away for dirty money. He hurls insults at her, accusing her of earning the cash by selling her body. Yudo desperately tries to get his father to stop. Unfazed, Kyubaru questions his narrow-mindedness, suggesting possibilities like personal investments or assets. She asks if prostitution is the only way he thinks women can make money. She calls him a pitiful and unimaginative man. She states that with a father like him, Yudo will never have a happy life. Yudo's father angrily retorts that it is not her place to decide. Kyubaru then changes tactics, preparing to ask him a question. She asks him directly why he told his own son to die. The father defensively shouts that he only said it for Yudo's sake. He tries to justify himself, claiming his bosses said similar things to him when he was younger. He believes the weak cannot make it in the world, and that harshness is necessary to learn this. Kyubaru bursts into laughter at his reasoning. She dismisses his justification as a silly story, which only angers him more. Kyubaru asserts that his excuse simply means he cannot be bothered to talk to his son and does not truly care about him. She poses a chilling question: what would he do if Yudo actually died? The father dismisses this, yelling that people do not die just because someone tells them to. Kyubaru counters grimly, stating that they do more easily than he thinks. She elaborates that it is especially true when the person saying such cruel things is their own father. She questions if he even understands his son's feelings. He defensively insists that he does. The father complains that Yudo is still a wimp and that his harsh words are a form of education. Kyubaru coolly informs him that he is under the wrong impression, as words alone do not constitute a proper education. Having heard enough, Kyubaru declares that she understands the situation completely. She tells the father that he is unnecessary for Yuyudo's happiness. She adds that she will be the one to ensure it. The father explodes in fury, demanding to know what she thinks happiness is and accusing her of planning to marry his son. Kyubaru explains that for her, the first step to a happy life is building a peaceful family. She intends to lead Yuyudo to such a future by improving all aspects of his life, from popularity to finances. She clarifies, however, that she will not be the one to build that family with him. She sees herself merely as a control tower guiding him. With chilling determination, Kyubaru announces that starting today, she will demonstrate how Yuyudo can achieve happiness under her control. Her bold statement leaves both Yuyudo and his father completely stunned. Kyubaru declares that starting today she will show him. She directs her statement at a stunned Yuyudo. She explains that he can be happy under her control. Her statement leaves his father utterly baffled. Yuyudo's father explodes with disbelief, calling her a joke and a brat. He challenges her to prove her words immediately. Unfazed, Kyubaru calmly agrees not to waste any time. She pulls out her phone, ready to make a call. She quickly calls her dad, asking him to proceed with a matter she had mentioned. She sweetly thanks him and tells him she loves him before hanging up. Kiba looks on in confusion. Suddenly, his own phone begins to ring, startling him. Kiba is shocked to see the call is from his company's president. Kyubaru smiles, telling him he better answer as it is probably urgent. He hesitantly picks up and identifies himself. The president begins by thanking Kiba for his work. He then regretfully informs Kiba that he has to be fired, leaving Kiba stunned. The president asks Kiba not to hold it against him, as he also has a family to protect. The call ends abruptly. Kiba immediately whirls on Kyubaru, demanding to know if this was her doing. She cheerfully confirms it, explaining she had her dad pull some strings. She asks if he's heard of Tomato Real Estate, which Kiba recognizes as the company that recently acquired his. Kyubaru explains that they are the parent company of his workplace. She reveals that her father happens to be its CEO. With a cold look, she states she simply asked him to have Kiba fired. She then presents an offer, holding out an envelope of money. If he accepts the 1 million yen, she will have her father rehire him. If he does not accept, she threatens to make sure he can never be hired anywhere ever again. Kiba angrily yells at her to stop messing around. Kyubaru calmly asks if he really thinks she is bluffing. She tells him that's his prerogative. She reminds him that either way, the fact that he was fired will not change. She tells him that as an adult, she is sure he knows what the right choice is. The weight of the situation crushes Kiba, and he collapses to his knees in despair. Kyubaru holds out the envelope of money one last time, asking for his decision. After a tense moment, he snatches the money. Kyubaru crouches down, telling him he made the right call. With the matter settled, Kyubaru turns to Yuyudo. She cheerfully says they should continue watching their movie. A bewildered Yuyudo can only agree as she pulls him along. Kyubaru leads a stunned Yuyudo away by the hand, leaving his defeated father kneeling on the floor behind them. Meanwhile, in a director's office, Kyubaru's father reflects that he only took action because his daughter insisted. He wonders what Yuyudo's relationship is with her. Deciding speculation is pointless, he resolves to ask Yuyudo about it directly. Kyubaru cheerfully announces that with the issue of his father resolved, they can continue their movie. A quiet Yuyudo agrees. He is internally processing that he will no longer have to deal with his dad. As they walk down the hall, Yuyudo feels a sense of relief, like a weight has been lifted from his shoulders. However, he also questions if he made the right choice. He knows running away from home as a minor is risky. He is grateful to have a place to stay. Unaware of his inner turmoil, Kyubaru cheerfully urges him to hurry. He wonders if he'll truly be okay. He feels as though he just cut everyone out of his life without a second thought. Despite everything, they are still his family. He considers what his mother might say. He quickly dismisses the thought, figuring she'd say nothing since she was always at his father's beck and call. Kyubaru notices his troubled expression and asks what's wrong. Yuyudo tries to deflect, claiming nothing is wrong. She correctly guesses that he's worried. She acknowledges that separating from family is a big deal and that his feelings are understandable. She reassures him that everything will be okay. With a fierce intensity, Kyubaru swears that she will make him happy. Her sudden passion leaves Yuyudo speechless. He wonders why she is always so intense. Later, the movie's end credits roll. Kyubaru comments that the movie was fun. Yuudo, moved to tears, agrees it was great, prompting Kyubaru to playfully tease him about his face. They discuss the movie, with Yuudo commenting on how cool the last line was, and Kyubaru agreeing it was a fun cliché. She then suggests they watch another one, surprising Yuudo with the idea of a second film. Of course, Yuudo is more than happy to watch another movie. Kyubaru selects a romance movie. She calls it a classic for an at-home date. She suggests they're practicing for the future, much to Yuudo's shock. A flustered Yuudo insists something like that will never happen to him. Kyubaru just tells him to relax and enjoy the film for now. He admits he doesn't usually watch this kind of movie. The romantic scenes make Yuudo nervous. When a kissing scene appears on screen, he becomes visibly flustered. He thinks the kiss is going on for way too long. Yuudo finds the scene incredibly embarrassing. Noticing his reaction, Kyubaru gently places her hand on his. She tells him that at times like this, he's supposed to hold her hand. She demonstrates by interlacing their fingers and leaning in close. She then whispers, asking why they don't kiss too. Leaning in close to a flustered Yuudo, Kyubaru playfully suggests that they should kiss too. The suggestion leaves Yuudo completely stunned. Despite his protest, Kyubaru leans in for a kiss. Panicked, Yuudo insists they can't do that. His refusal surprises Kyubaru, who asks if he doesn't want to kiss her. He pulls away, clarifying that while he does want to kiss her, that's precisely the reason they shouldn't. Yuudo explains that if she has no intention of dating him, then they can't kiss. He passionately tells her she needs to have more respect for herself. Kyubaru quietly considers his words. Kyubaru smirks, admitting she wouldn't mind kissing him, which only makes Yuudo more flustered. He exclaims that she shouldn't get his hopes up after rejecting him. This confuses Kyubaru, who asks when she rejected him. She points out that he never actually confessed to her. Yuudo reminds her that she said she didn't like him at the aquarium. Kyubaru teasingly deduces that he must actually like her. She clarifies that she was just trying to ascertain their positions then, which explains why he felt rejected. Exasperated by her teasing, Yuudo loses his temper. He calls her a real piece of work. Continuing his argument, Yuudo insists that people who aren't in a relationship shouldn't kiss so casually. He pleads with her to have some morals if she truly wants him to be happy. Kyubaru finally relents, agreeing not to kiss him anymore. However, she adds that for his own future, she still wants him to gain some romantic experience. Her statement leaves Yuudo completely bewildered. She then announces a new plan. Tomorrow at school, they will find him a candidate for a girlfriend. Yuudo is shocked by the sudden turn of events. The next day at school, Kyubaru gets straight to the point. She sits smugly and declares that it's time for him to start his own romantic comedy. Kyubaru asks if there's any girl he's interested in. Though he thinks of her, Yuudo replies that there isn't anyone. He explains that due to being bullied, he never even made friends, let alone developed crushes. Hearing this, Kyubaru decides their first step will be for him to make friends. Yuudo expresses his doubt that it will be that simple. Kyubaru confidently reassures him. She compliments his appearance and says he'll get acquainted with a girl in no time. Suddenly, she spots something and tells him to look. She points to a girl struggling to erase the top of the blackboard. Kyubaru encourages Yuudo to go lend her a hand, suggesting he could be her hero. Yuudo hesitates, feeling that acting on her command would be creepy. Despite his reluctance, Yuudo approaches the girl and offers to help. He takes the blackboard eraser from her. He easily cleans the high parts of the board for her. The girl stares for a moment before giving him a heartfelt thank you. Yuudo smiles, telling her it was no problem. As he leaves, Yuudo tells the girl to let him know if she needs help again. Returning to his seat, Kyubaru welcomes him back. She teases him about being on the path to popularity, though he remains skeptical. Meanwhile, the girl he helped reflects that kindness is a far more important trait than most people realize. Kyubaru remarks that being kind is an extremely important trait. She adds that it is more important than people give it credit for. Ehara stands gratefully by the blackboard. Later, Yuudo thinks to himself that Ehara really liked his gesture of help. While cleaning the hallway, Yuudo reflects on Kyubaru's words, wondering what it even means to write his own romantic comedy. Suddenly, he hears a voice call out his name. Yuudo turns to see Ehara standing before him. She approaches him nervously and thanks him for his help earlier, leaving him a bit confused. Ehara clarifies that she's thanking him for helping her clean the blackboard. Yuudo casually dismisses it as nothing. She insists that it was truly helpful. Gathering her courage, she nervously tries to say something else. Overcome with nervousness, Ehara lets out a small squeak. She abruptly runs away, leaving a bewildered Yuudo behind. Ehara quickly returns, apologizing and explaining that she bit her tongue out of nervousness. She finally works up the courage to ask if he would walk home with her. The request for just the two of them to walk home together completely stuns Yuudo. Seeing Yuudo's shocked reaction, Ehara quickly clarifies that she doesn't mean it in a weird way. She explains that her real reason for asking is to go try the new donuts being sold in front of the station. Ehara confesses that she doesn't have any friends to go with. She explains that this is because she is very shy. She then reminds him of his earlier offer to call on him if she ever needed anything, which is why she gathered the courage to ask. Fearing his silence is a rejection, Ehara looks crestfallen. Yuudo immediately reassures her that he will gladly join her. Overjoyed, she thanks him, and they agree to meet up after class. As Ehara happily walks away, Yuudo watches her go. Kyubaru appears behind Yuudo and teases him about scoring an after-school date. She then reminds him that he absolutely cannot tell Ehara that they live together. Yuudo reluctantly agrees that he knows he can't tell her. He finds himself in a half-baked love triangle, acting as a romantic comedy partner for Ehara while secretly liking Kyubaru. The whole situation is making him feel guilty. Then he has a realization. He remembers that Kyubaru does not have any affection for him. With this in mind, he steels his resolve to give up on her as soon as he can. Yuudo acknowledges that he does not know what the future holds, but he knows it is important to make friends and broaden his horizons. He reflects that he could never do this before because of the bullying he suffered. Full of new resolve, Yuudo declares he will enjoy what life has to offer. Kyubaru immediately chimes in regarding his date. She says she wants to listen in on it. She then presents him with a pen-shaped microphone. The suggestion leaves him utterly shocked. Kyubaru also gives him a pair of wireless earbuds, telling him to put them on so she can talk to him. She explains that this way, he can follow her instructions while they are apart. She then gives him a menacing look, warning him not to pull any funny business. Kyubaru gives Yuudo a menacing look, warning him not to pull any funny business. She instructs him to do whatever she says. She hands him a pair of wireless earbuds, reminding him to be discreet so Ehara doesn't find out he's on a call. Kyubaru cheerfully wishes him good luck as he departs. Kiba sighs, feeling the pressure of the situation. He reflects on the huge weight resting on his shoulders. Suddenly, a voice calls out to Kiba-kun. Ehara appears, asking if he waited long, which he denies. She cheerfully suggests they get going. Kiba agrees, the hidden earbud in his pocket glowing faintly. The two walk together in an awkward silence. Kyubaru's voice suddenly comes through the earbud, startling Yuudo. She tells him to tap twice on the earbud if he can hear her. He taps the device, confirming to Kyubaru that he can hear her instructions. Kyubaru instructs him to pay attention to her words and repeat them. She declares that they are starting now, much to his shock. Yuudo can't believe it, thinking she must be kidding. Following his script, Yuudo asks Ehara if she likes donuts. She enthusiastically replies that she loves them. He awkwardly stammers that he also likes them. Yuudo is mortified by the forced conversation, feeling like he's dying of shame. Ehara calls out his name, startling him. She excitedly announces that they've arrived at the donut shop. Kyubaru instructs Yuudo to say that he thinks this is his first time here. He obediently repeats the lines Kyubaru gives him. Ehara agrees that the new items sound delicious. She finds it hard to choose because there are so many options. Ehara admits she wants to try the limited edition items, but ordering 2 for herself is a bit much. Yuudo agrees, saying he knows how she feels. Kyubaru, having changed her outfit, instructs him to ask Ehara to split the donuts. The command leaves Yuudo looking annoyed. Yuudo reluctantly asks Ehara if she wants to split the donuts with him. The question catches Ehara by surprise. He prods her, asking if she doesn't want to. She quickly clarifies that she doesn't mind, especially since it's with him. Relieved, Yuudo smiles and suggests they place their orders. He offers to place the order for both of them and asks what she wants to drink. Ehara is touched, thinking to herself how kind Kiba is. Yuudo returns with the donuts and drinks. Ehara exclaims that they look very appetizing. She thanks him and offers him money for the donuts. Kyubaru immediately instructs Yuudo to refuse the money. Yuudo tells Ehara not to worry about the bill, as it's his treat. Ehara protests, insisting she couldn't let him pay for her. Kyubaru gives another command, grab her hand. He complies, taking her hand in his. He tells her he's trying to be a gentleman and asks if she'll let him. Ehara is completely flustered by his touch. She looks down at their joined hands and shyly agrees that it's fine. Ehara gathers her courage and asks Kiba if there's a girl he likes. Prompted by a gleeful Kyubaru, Yuudo begins to deny it. He confirms that he doesn't have anyone he likes at the moment. Ehara looks visibly relieved by his answer. Ehara's expression turns dark and intense as she says she's thankful, adding that if he had a girl he liked, she might have killed him. Ehara's intense stare unnerves Yuudo as she tells him she might have killed him if he had someone he liked. Confused and alarmed by her words, he can only stammer in response. She then breaks into a sweet, disarming smile. She quickly dismisses her threat as a joke. Yuudo is visibly shaken, nervously commenting on how passionate she is. He thinks to himself that she almost gave him a heart attack. As they sit in a tense silence, Ehara suddenly calls out his name. Ehara's playful demeanor vanishes as she confronts Yuudo, questioning if the words he has been saying are truly his own. Her sudden accusation leaves him speechless and panicked. Ehara presses further, asking why he has an earbud in his ear. Yuudo stammers, trying to come up with an explanation. The scene reveals Kyubaru on the other end of the line. She is annoyed that Yuudo has abruptly cut her off. He takes out the earbud, trying to play it off. Caught off guard, Yuudo quickly lies, claiming he was listening to music earlier and forgot about the earbud. Ehara doesn't seem to believe him, stating that he won't tell her the truth. Yuudo notices her mood has completely changed. He sees that she has begun to tear up. Tears stream down Ehara's face as she laments that he must not actually care about her. Yuudo frantically tries to deny her accusations. She dejectedly says a wonderful guy like him would never pay attention to someone like her. She cries that he probably just wants to go home. He insists that's not what he wants at all. Yuudo earnestly insists that he doesn't feel that way at all. He tells her that he genuinely enjoyed talking with her. Seemingly reassured, Ehara asks if he would be willing to keep going on dates with her, a question that catches Yuudo completely by surprise. Ehara says she wants to continue their conversation once they are done at the shop. She boldly invites him to her house, leaving Yuudo stunned and flustered. Seeing his hesitation, she asks if his silence means he's refusing. Yuudo panics, realizing he hung up on Kyubaru without permission. He knows that going with Ehara means keeping Kyubaru waiting. He looks at Ehara, who is still upset. However, he feels he can't abandon Ehara in her fragile emotional state. Overcome with guilt but feeling he has no other choice, he apologizes to Kyubaru in his thoughts and agrees to go. He agrees to go for a little while, and they arrive at her apartment building. Ehara welcomes him inside. As he enters, he cautiously asks if she lives alone, and she confirms that she does. Ehara explains that her parents are hands-off but support her with tuition. She says she is grateful for their support and offers to pour him a cup of tea. She invites him to get comfortable while he takes a seat on the sofa. As Ehara heads to the kitchen, Yuudo starts to ask a question. Before he can finish asking if she needs help, he sees her lunging towards him from behind, brandishing an object over her head. Ehara viciously strikes Yuudo on the head. The blow sends him tumbling off the couch. He lies unconscious on the floor. Yuudo is out cold on the floor. Ehara announces she is borrowing his phone. She looks at the screen and confirms her suspicion that he was lying. His call log shows he was talking to another girl, Tamata Kyubaru. Holding a rope, Ehara declares that it seems they need to be taught a lesson, claiming she is doing this for the other girl's sake as well. A new voice addresses Ehara by her full name. It's Kyubaru, who has appeared in the room, remarking with a smirk that Ehara is more interesting than she had anticipated. With spiraling eyes, the girl tells the incapacitated Yuudo that he needs to learn a lesson, claiming this is for her sake too. As his consciousness fades, Yuudo can only curse his situation. He passes out completely. He struggles against the ropes binding his hands. Yuudo awakens with a start, finding himself bound and tied to a bed. He yelps in shock at his predicament. Looming over him is the same girl, now clad only in her underwear, who calmly notes that he's awake. In a panic, Yudo questions who he thinks is Ahara, demanding to know why she's in her underwear. She nonchalantly replies that she didn't want to get blood on her clothes. She then informs him that she is going to punish him now, which horrifies him as he wonders about the mention of blood. She accuses him of pretending to care for that girl and toying with her heart, vowing she'll never forgive him. Yudo frantically denies it was his intention. She asks him what he means by that girl. She clarifies that she is talking about Ehara Riho, which leaves Yudo confused. Confused, Yudo asks if she isn't Ehara Riho. The girl denies this, introducing herself as Riho's older sister, Rina. The revelation shocks Yudo, who points out that they look identical. Rina explains that it's natural they look alike since they share the same body. Yudo is left speechless by her explanation. She then asks a stunned Yudo if he has ever heard of the term split personality. As Yudo processes the term, Rina begins to explain Riho's past. She says that while her parents are hands-off now, they used to be the complete opposite. They would hit her whenever they were upset and frequently lock her up in the garden's storage house. A flashback reveals a young Riho, locked in the dark, crying that she's sorry. She desperately pounds on the door, begging her father to let her out because she's scared of the dark. She pleads to be released. Overcome with fear, she begins to hyperventilate, feeling like she can't breathe. In her moment of absolute terror, Riho cried out for someone to save her. It was then that another presence emerged from within her. This new entity comforted the crying Riho, promising to take her place whenever she was in pain. The new personality asked to use Riho's body. With a determined look, she made a solemn vow to always protect Riho. Rina explains that she was born for the sole purpose of protecting Riho. She believes Riho has a right to be happy. That is why she has a knife. She cannot stand people like Yudo who toy with her sister's emotions. She tells him he will repent for what he did. She decides where to start. Rina leans in close to the terrified Yudo, holding a large knife to his face, and menacingly suggests that she'll start his punishment by slicing it open. Kubaru leans in close to Riho, suggesting they all find happiness together. Riho is left stunned and confused by the proposition. Kubaru clarifies that she is referring to a future involving Riho. She also includes Yudo in her plan, who looks on in shock. Kubaru confidently promises to guide them all to happiness. Riho finds the idea impossible to believe. Kubaru simply states that she can make it possible. Kubaru tells Riho that her difficult life is over and she can finally enjoy herself. Riho quietly wonders how she is supposed to achieve this happiness. When asked how, Kubaru cheerfully admits she does not know. She explains that happiness can take many shapes. Kubaru elaborates that whether it is family, hobbies, or career, each person has their own version of happiness. Kubaru offers to guide Riho through the many choices in life. Her offer comes with a chilling condition: Riho must become her puppet too. Riho is utterly bewildered, stating that nothing Kubaru is saying makes any sense. Riho's mind reels. She knows Kubaru's proposal is obviously irrational. Intellectually, she understands how crazy it all sounds. Yet she cannot deny the strangely enticing feeling behind Kubaru's words. An instinctual urge washes over Riho, commanding her not to refuse but to accept Kubaru's offer. She feels a deep desire to leave every decision to Kubaru and simply obey. In a moment of clarity, she understands what happened. She realizes that Yudo must have experienced the same overwhelming compulsion. Giving in, Riho accepts the ludicrous proposal. She tells Kubaru she wants to do as she says. Pleased with the outcome, Kubaru declares the matter settled and prepares to give her first order. Kubaru explains that she has a very simple first order. She commands Riho to kiss Yudo. Kubaru frames it as a fairy tale ending where the princess kisses the prince. The order leaves Riho flushed and stunned. As she holds Riho, Kubaru whispers a promise that she will allow her to experience all the intense romance she could ever desire. Completely captivated, Riho leans down toward Yudo. She is struck by a profound thought: everything about Kubaru was designed to make her a ruler. Kubaru praises Riho for a job well done. She then announces the next order will be to punish Yudo, and that Riho will be assisting her. The news catches the bound Yudo completely by surprise. He panics, unable to believe what he is hearing. Kubaru decides to start with simple orders. She grabs Rina, telling her that her first task is to help punish Yuyudo. Rina is left to question what she means. A bound Yuyudo panics, demanding to know the reason for his punishment. Kyubaru calmly explains it's for hanging up on her without permission. She then reveals a piercing kit, cheerfully promising to make it look cute. She warns it might sting a little. Yuyudo is left stunned. Leaning close to the terrified Yuyudo, Kyubaru announces her intention: she is going to pierce his tongue. Kyubaru instructs him not to pull back as she prepares the piercing gun. Yuyudo recoils in horror, unable to believe what he's hearing. She then asks Rina to open it for her. As Rina sterilizes the equipment, Yuyudo watches. He realizes in terror that she's going to use the large needle. Kyubaru reminds him to stay still, asserting that he is her puppet. She warns that disobedience results in punishment as she brings the needle to his tongue. Kyubaru attempts to calm Yuyudo, telling him not to be scared and to just let himself go. She suggests he pretend he's a baby and let others take care of him. The piercing proves difficult. Kyubaru struggles to push the needle through as Yuyudo grunts in pain. After a moment of effort, she finally succeeds with a triumphant smile. Yuyudo pants, his tongue bleeding heavily from the new piercing. Kyubaru, noticing the blood, asks Rina to bring her a towel. Rina hands it over. She worriedly asks if he will be all right, but Kyubaru confidently assures her he will be fine. Kyubaru reassures Rina that the piercing won't kill Yuyudo, though he seems skeptical. She holds up the stud, explaining to him that this is the consequence for disobedience. She reminds him that bad puppets get punished. Yuyudo's mind screams in terror. He is convinced that Kyubaru is a demon. Abruptly, Kyubaru's demeanor shifts, and she pulls a bewildered Yuyudo into a gentle embrace. She praises him for enduring the pain and calls him a good boy. She announces that his punishment is over. As a reward for his good behavior, she offers him a pat on the head, leaving him completely disoriented by the sudden affection. While stroking his head, Kyubaru tells both Yuyudo and Rina that she finds them adorable and can't help but adore them. She explains that this is why she does not want any walls between them. Yuyudo then poses a question, asking what it is that people obsess over the most. Kyubaru confidently answers that she believes it is love. Rina thoughtfully adds that love drives people mad and makes them obsessive. Yuyudo quietly agrees with the sentiment. They seem to conclude that in order to become irreplaceable to one another, they must all do something together. Kyubaru suggests with an inviting smile that they should all do something naughty together. Kyubaru suggests they all do something naughty together. Yuyudo is flabbergasted by the suggestion. Kyubaru calmly tells him that it's easy. She then reveals it is the very thing he's wanted the most. A flustered Yuyudo can only wonder what she means. Kyubaru, with a sly smile, asks if they should begin. To Yuyudo's shock, Kyubaru begins to lift her shirt. He frantically protests that they can't, calling it unethical. Rina calmly points out that its unethical nature is precisely why they are doing it. Kyubaru explains that by sharing an immoral secret, they will build a special connection. She explains this is because they are both special to her. She earnestly tells them that she wants to be special to both of them. Sitting between them on the bed, Kyubaru makes her proposal clear: they should have an honest love triangle. To demonstrate her point, Kyubaru suddenly pulls Yuyudo into a tight embrace, asking if he feels warm and fuzzy. She explains that hugs release love hormones, which reduce anxiety and stress. Kyubaru then invites a blushing Rina to join them. Rina quietly agrees. Soon Yuyudo finds himself embraced by both girls on the bed. Rina notes that Yuyudo's heart is racing. She comments that it feels warm. Leaning in close, Kyubaru whispers a provocative question, wondering how much warmer it would be if they were all naked. Her question causes Yuyudo to recoil in shock. A flustered Yuyudo demands to know why she is bringing that up. Kyubaru presses further, asking if he has ever seen people have sex in real life, outside of videos. He denies that he has ever seen or even thought about it. Kyubaru declares that she would like to see it. Yuyudo is shocked by her statement. She suggests they try it right here and now. He is utterly stunned by the proposition. She frames it as the perfect shared secret. When Yuyudo stammers that he couldn't possibly, Kyubaru cuts him off, telling him he isn't allowed to say that. She insists that if he truly likes her, he will do what she wants. She warns him not to disappoint her. Cornered, with Rina looking on, Yuyudo reluctantly agrees. Taking charge, Yudo turns to Rina, calling her Ehara-san. He pushes her down onto the bed. Rina looks up at him in surprise. He asks if this is really okay. As Yudo lies on top of Rina, his mind reels in disbelief. Just then, the bedroom door swings open, revealing a man standing in the doorway, taking in the shocking scene. The man is speechless with shock. Yudo and Rina are equally stunned by the interruption. Kyubaru, however, remains unfazed and casually greets the man as her